Hello there, you are listening to the 1912 Exiles podcast, the original, the biggest, the best Newport County podcast made by the fans, for the fans, brought to you by the Terrace Podcast Network and in association with the Riverside Sports Bar, the home of live sport in Newport. I'm Ed. We weren't going to put out an episode this weekend. We were going to wrap up the Carlisle away game with next Saturday's home game, but as you will know, yesterday's match 2-0 up away at Carlisle and ended up losing 3-2. One of those kind of, not quite season-defining games, but certainly the sort of game that perhaps can really do for a manager. And we felt we couldn't just sort of hold it over. And very thankfully, listener Andrew Morrison offered to do us a report from Carlisle. He was one of the 200 heroes who made the very, very long trip north to Cumbria yesterday. So Andrew has sent through his report and analysis of the game yesterday. So we're just going to put that out now as a kind of short bonus episode. We are aiming to have a full kind of discussion after next weekend's game. I'm not sure whether it'll be the full panel or whether we'll drag in a few listeners, but we'll have a kind of more in-depth analysis then. But yeah, let's hear from Andrew. Over to you.
Good afternoon, Exiles, and welcome to sunny, slightly chilly Carlisle this afternoon. So what's brought me all the way up from Warwickshire up to the game today for what is effectively a dead rubber? It's a very good question. I'm not sure I have all the answers, but I think I'll answer it in two different ways. First of all, I've never been to Brunton Park before. I think it's true to say it's an iconic ground. And, I still remember the halcyon days, I suppose, of Carlisle back in the mid-70s when they were in the first division, I think, for a season. The likes of Bob Hatton and Stanley Bowles had a certain amount of time here. And, they were really good days, but of course those days have long since passed. And of course they're facing a second successive relegation. So that's kind of the jeopardy, I suppose, on the one hand, but I'm more interested about our psychology and our mentality as we enter the last 6 games. The Admiral really has been talking about, hasn't he, about, the mental fortitude and the players fighting for contracts and careers. To be honest with you, I'm not totally convinced around that. I'm not really feeling it. I'm not really seeing it. So today is interesting for me because I think there's no hiding place for us today. If we thought Tuesday was a bruising encounter with Bromley, I think you can expect probably all that again and maybe a little bit more, because even though they might be on the cusp of going down into non-league again, what you're going to see, I think, from a Mark Hughes team is that they'll be throwing everything at us. It's going to be direct. It's not going to be pretty. And let's be honest, if we are not mentally right today, it's going to be a long afternoon for us, regardless of the fact that they are stuck right at the bottom of the league. So I think, there's going to be a lot of questions asked about the Jardim or Jard out situation. And of course, the other interesting thing is our strike force has been really flaky, hasn't it? Let's be honest. And CBR is out. We can't rely on him today. He won't be running around causing havoc. The Empire State Human Huddling is not back yet. I guess we won't see him until probably Walsall now, which leaves, I guess, the Salford 3. I think we've got Bobby probably on the left, and I'd expect Siajiboy on the right, and Martin somewhere probing around the middle. But it does worry me about who's going to really hold the ball up for us, what our outlets. And I think this is going to be a really tricky afternoon for us. And the stats really don't lie either, do they, after 40 games? I mean, Carlisle, fewest goals scored in the league. We've got the leakiest defence. They're just behind us on those statistics. And both clubs sit at the bottom of the last 6 form guide as well. So this is no El Clasico today. Do you know what? I'm really struggling. I'm struggling with this part of the season. We're 40 games in. And with regard our coach, I expected by now to see something of our DNA, what's our playing style. And I'm not really seeing it, to be honest. I can't see that we've evolved at all during the season. And I think what also bothers me, we've got a very young squad, and I really do fully understand all those issues around young players. But I would have expected by now to see some very small marginal incremental changes, and I don't really feel I'm seeing it. So I guess some of those answers around the Jard in or Jard out are going to be probably answered today. Anyway, I'm going to hold it there. We'll wrap up later, but remember, just keep it county. Good afternoon, Exiles. It's now nearly 24 hours since what I'm going to call the Carlisle calamity. I've had a little bit of time to reflect on some of the things that happened yesterday. And I think, well, let's just start off with a statistic, shall we? The last time that Carlisle turned around a 2-0 deficit in a game was back in 2015, would you believe? 10 years, a full decade before the class of 24 Newport County turn up and offer them that particular accolade. Where do you really start about yesterday? The preview, I think I would have probably called the dead rubber. I think I'm going to call the second part spineless, because I actually think both in a physical sense and also in a metaphorical sense, that's exactly what yesterday turned out to be. And do you know what? It should have been so completely different. And the whole afternoon started, I think, with everything going for us, because as we entered into the grounds, it was very clear. The mood itself was almost as if a wake had just gone through the place, There was just feelings of, further disappointment because Tranmere had played at a 12:30 and they'd won their game and extended, of course, their lead over the bottom two. And it was palpable, it was noticeable that everybody from a Carlisle perspective was feeling really down about it. And we kick off in bright sunshine, and the first 20 minutes really surprised me in terms of the fact that it was almost like watching like a training game or a pre-season game, because I didn't really see too much pressing out there. I didn't see any urgency from either side. I just sat back and I was almost like, this is lovely, isn't it? Get the ice cream out and, we can start. It's like being on the beach. It's just absolutely fabulous. And then, of course, and let's pick up on one of the really good positive things about yesterday. We see two fabulous goals, don't we? You see some incredible incisive passing, 4 or 5 really good, precise balls. I think it was Antwi who put that lovely ball through the Carlisle defence, for Evans to just nip in there and just tuck it away. And, you think this is good, and then it just gets even better, doesn't it? You've got Bobby out there on the left-hand side, cuts inside, tries to fall over, gets back up again, and he's hit that from 35 yards. And you could say it's wind assisted, but it was like a bullet, absolutely like a bullet. He's curled it, it's got pace on it. It's just dipped below the bar and inside the right-hand post. And the away fans have gone absolutely wild. And what a joy it was, I've got to say, to see 205 fans there. What a fantastic away performance in terms of the fans coming all that way. And the world was absolutely a wonderful place to be at that point. 28 minutes in, and we are absolutely cruising, aren't we? And then, the whole game changes when Carlisle's picked the ball up in midfield. We probably got 5 or 6 players in the middle of the park, and they have literally just waltzed through, unchallenged, simple ball in behind the defence, picked up by their number 9, and he slotted it in there. And to be perfectly honest, I'm really not going to comment on anything really specifically about the game beyond that, because actually, I think that was the point at which, even at that stage, I thought there's only one winner from here, and it ain't going to be us. I just talked to 1 or 2 people around me, and that was a general feeling as well. And that's quite alarming, really, when you're a fan. But I also kind of accepted it, and I'm sort of kicking myself because I almost expected it. And spineless, absolutely spineless. At that point, we should have literally closed the door, bolted the door, reinforced the door, and just frustrate the hell out of them. That's exactly what we should have done. But we essentially allowed them just to waltz through us. That goal they scored that pulled it back, which changed the whole complexion of the game. We should have tactically had the nous to change our structures, change our game plan. And it goes back to the mental fortitude we talked about in the preview section. But That was totally totally unexpected, I suppose. I don't know, and indefensible. And it all goes back to the spine, doesn't it? 50% of it probably missing, wasn't it? We had no outlet at the front. Pumping balls into Ajiboy is never going to work. He was never going to win a header. And you got nobody to hold the ball up. So that ball is coming back. And we were physically dominated in the end. Everything was coming back. Nothing in the midfield to disrupt them as well. I know people bang on, and I've banged on about we haven't replaced people in our midfield, the Scott Bennetts, the Josh Labadys of this world, the enforcer types who literally can just turn games around, mix it up, get dirty, get nasty. The shithousery, absolutely. We've talked about that, haven't we? And those are the reasons. Those are the reasons why we lost the game. And I went away just feeling, I just felt dead. Felt a bit dead inside and disappointed. But anyway, look, it's gone. It's gone. I think we're safe. We are safe, aren't we? Let's be honest. But I feel really disappointed for the fans who turned up in numbers. And again, it just leads me to wonder where we go from here. Disappointed in a few players, I must admit. For as good as Antwi was with the pass, he just makes me feel that he's lightweight. The big question for me now around the head coach is, do we now feel that we have advanced our cause since about September, October, or have we regressed? And before yesterday's game, I was pretty much on a 50-50 fence, if you like. But now I'm absolutely convinced that we have regressed. And I think the question now for me is, does Jardim want it enough? Does he want to take this group of players, the majority of which he's going to have? And even if he does add a few over the summer, is this a project that he wants and can make something of it? Or is he going to go? My gut feeling, he looked resigned to me. He looked resigned in the post-match comments, and I just don't think he's going to be there, to be perfectly honest with you. Regardless, I think, of what Hugh Jenkins does, I don't think he probably wants it. And if he does, I'm not sure Hugh Jenkins will be necessarily too keen to do that. That's it from me, I think. I'm just sorry I couldn't give, something more of a positive outlook on life. But anyway, look, there's always next season. So I'm going to sign off now. And as always, keep it county.
You're stealing my line there, Andrew. Thank you very much for that report. Really insightful. Yeah, as you say, it's not a positive game to have to report on, but I think having the insights of the people who were there yesterday is really useful. And yeah, good to have another fresh voice on the pod. We will be back next weekend. Do tell us your thoughts on yesterday's game as well. If you want to come on and have a chat next weekend, then yeah, let us know. We've put out a few thoughts of our own over the course of the last 24 hours, and what a miserable 24 hours it has been. But I do hope that amidst it all, you've been enjoying a little bit of the sunshine. But yeah, go out there, do good in the world. May it do you the world of good. And above all, as Andrew said, keep it county.